Hi everybody, my name is Andrea Fox and today I'm going to be going over my presentation on supporting communication and language development. So to begin with, we're going to go ahead and go through the introduction. So I went ahead and chose the age group of a preschooler just because I feel like we're able to deeper dive into their development since they are understanding more language. In the ELOF domain, I went ahead and put the language and literacy, and the purpose is just to highlight the language and literacy ELOF framework for preschoolers and to recommend some strategies that I came up with to help preschoolers in their development. So to begin with, just going over some of the language development for preschoolers in the ELOF framework. So some of the things that I went over and read about was attending and understanding, communication and speaking, and vocabulary. So children in this age group are starting to begin to communicate and use language in more complex ways, just to have more communication with other adults. They're also able to understand and follow social and conversational rules. This is a time where they start to have longer conversations and start to understand more things. They're also able to use a wider variety of vocabulary words and just a broader vocabulary in general. So some other things that came up were phonological awareness, print and alphabet knowledge, and comprehension and text structure and writing. So for these, the children's able to demonstrate awareness that spoken language is composed of smaller segments. They're also able to understand how print is used, so writing, teaching them letters and stuff like that, as well as understanding narrative structures through storytelling and retelling, as well as just asking questions, and we'll deep dive into that about the importance of open-ended questions, as well as just writing for a variety of purposes is also included in there. So some similarities in individual language development in preschool age children are that all children are able to follow a predictable sequence of skills, so sentences, receptive language, as well as language development is integrated across, so improved cognition supports complex use, and they're able to use language effectively that requires caring, responsive relationships, and interactions. So these are just some of the similarities, meaning that most children follow this, but that doesn't mean all of them do. So in this next one, some individual differences in individual language development. Some of the differences is that just the rate of the growth and the size of the vocabulary can just differ in between children. So they all will start to develop vocabulary, but at different rates. Some other differences may include the mastery of a specific skill, so phonological awareness, grammar rules, stuff like that may differ, and dual language learners, which also ties into family and cultural environments. So just showing different varying progress in English acquisition just depends on the age, their exposure, and what they're exposed to in the classroom and at home. So I went ahead and came up with 4 different strategies. So the first one's going to be the conversations during play. So just engaging the child individually and back and forth dialogue. So asking what they're doing, asking open-ended questions, and just making sure you're providing a meaningful, relevant context to encourage new vocabulary, and understanding things during dramatic play, sensory play, block building. So just making sure you're including open-ended questions and think conversations during the play. This connects to it because it talks about communication and speaking, so just having conversations with the child, as well as supports their vocabulary, and asking them questions, you're able to expand their vocabulary during that time. So the second strategy that I came up with was interactive storytelling. So instead of just reading, you want to use the crowd prompts to prompt individual children. So for this specifically, you would want to have a book and just reading reading through it, but instead of just reading from front to back, you'd want to take your time and just stop at certain stopping points and ask the child certain questions, such as, why do you think so and so did this? And that'll help them be involved and really understand active comprehension and expressive language practice. So this also ties to language comprehension. So you're asking them about the book and you're just making sure that they're understanding and comprehending the story, as well as just supporting vocabulary as you're introducing new words potentially. So the third one is going to be turn taking and role playing. So this really targets children who are struggling with conversations and structure in a small group setting. So this could involve a visual cue like a microphone or just something to pass around to indicate whose turn it is. This helps with just social cues and behavioral cues in terms of unwritten rules of conversation. So just turn taking, not interrupting, raising your hand, all stuff like that. This connects to the ELA framework by communication and speaking, so helps them understand turn taking and uses verbal and non-verbal signals, as well as attending and understanding, so shows engagement in ongoing conversation or in a small group setting. So the last one that I came up with was phonological awareness games with personal connections. So phonological awareness is something we want to build in the preschool age children. So using things that they are familiar with, such as family members or favorite toys, to come up with activities that can help, like rhyming or alliteration. So this can be used as a strong predictor of later reading success. So using relevant words ensures that they stay engaged and highly motivated. So this ties into the ELA framework by phonological awareness. So they're able to recognize and introduce sounds, and also attending and understanding. So again, just understanding language and just being able to distinguish the subtle changes in words. So the connection to the course readings is, in the course readings, you can see on the graph on the right, as they go into the preschool age, they're able to answer questions that are a little more complex, making strategies 1 and 2 effective, as well as just the rainbow fish activity, which just is asking questions throughout the story. So the next one that I went ahead and did was becoming conversationalist, and then the video that shows again conversation. So just making sure that we understand that children this age are able to have more sophisticated conversations and are able to have questions, as well as just supporting further language development through phonological awareness. So in conclusion, preschoolers are in a developmental stage with regards to language and literacy, which allows them to understand and communicate in increasing complex ways. There are similarities and differences when it comes to child language development. However, the ELA framework supports all children in their development. As a teacher, it's critical to keep in mind the domains and how to interact with children in certain ways, to be intentional and ensure that we're working towards their language development. So with preschoolers and specifically, supportive communications full of open-ended questions will create an environment that fosters their critical thinking and allows room for verbal expression and enhances other milestones as well. And then I went ahead and just attached my references there, and that should be all. Thank you very much.